Taxes? Hey, it's Krista, and welcome back to another episode of Find the Facts, a series where we talk to actual experts to get real facts on things that we may have been taught wrong, and where we also debunk viral information from the internet. So today is kind of a not so fun topic, but it's something we all have to do, so we may as well do it correctly, and we may as well save as much money as we can when we do them. I'm talking about taxes. Anyways, today's expert is going to tell us everything that we need to know about how to avoid getting audited and how to save the most money on our taxes. And he's going to give us some very specific things we need to know about filing in 2020. If you haven't done so already, you got less than a week. Anyways, let's get to it.
This year in 2020, there's some special things due to the CARES Act and Corona relief. One of them is a stimulus. If you are someone who was a dependent on your 2019 parents' taxes, you can file independent and get the first two stimulus, $1,200, $600, $1,800, even if you had no income. So this is called a recovery rebate credit. If you had a baby in 2020, you can claim that baby stimulus check in 2021. Another overlooked deduction is like the education. So there's something called the lifetime learning credit. Say you take any kind of courses to, kind of better yourself in your career, you can claim a tax credit for that. In 2020, you can actually, without itemizing, just write off $300 as charity. And then you get a little tax break. It's a small one, but still something good to know. There's only a 3-year time period to claim a refund. So if your taxes are due, like say in 2021, you have up to 2024 to file this 2021 taxes to get a refund. After 3 years, even if you were entitled to a refund, you do not get it.
It's like you have 3 years to claim a refund, but you will always owe if you owe.
Exactly. Exactly that. So, well, there's another thing to the always owe you part. There's a 10-year statute of limitations. So after 10 years, the IRS cannot come after you for a tax debt. So if you're like approaching like a 10-year mark and you have a tax bill sitting, so you have a $5,000 tax bill, it's from 9 years ago. You probably just wait a year and not filing. It'll just disappear.
So if you owe money to the IRS, are you better off just waiting 10 years and then never paying it?
Well, there's other ways it can affect your life. Like IRS can levy your bank account. They can levy your wages. They'll come after your assets. So they'll try all these tactics to get money out of you. But there's some people that are like completely off the radar. They don't have much the IRS can take. But yeah, those 10 years, IRS will be very aggressive. So yeah, it may hurt you in other ways. There are common themes when it comes to audits that I've seen. One of them being when people are self-employed, freelancers, independent contractors file like a self-employed tax return, or they exaggerate their deductions. And IRS has so many metrics where they have millions of taxpayers' data and they'll compare it. So say, for example, supply expense, you put $15,000 and everyone that files puts an average of $5,000. It may be legitimate. So if it is legitimate, you definitely want to keep a backup, but that just is a red flag and they'll just, flag you for an audit. So they'll look at trends. So that's how IRS knows what to pick up, because it's not a human picking up the return. It's usually computers just picking up the return. Then it goes to a human's desk and the human double checks and decides, okay, I want to audit this person. So putting figures that are generally higher than what the standard is, or just big numbers in one category that doesn't make sense, will be red flags. And I've seen those big numbers that people put on one line. So you want to make sure you are properly, not over exaggerating, and putting those deductions in correctly. Or maybe you should go into a different category, you're lumping it all in one line item. Then that's going to be a red flag. A common myth some people have is that, if they make under a certain amount and they don't have to file their taxes, and that amount is a standard deduction, which is $12,400 this year. It changes every year. Generally, if you make under this amount as an employee, you are not required to file taxes, but sometimes it's good to file because you may be entitled to a refund. This is a common myth as well, is that extending your tax return gives you more time to pay. It actually does not. It only gives you time to file, but the payment, say if you hypothetically think you will owe, you will need to still make that payment by the 17th of May. Yeah, so how do you determine what to pay? So there's a rule of if you owe every year, so say last year you filed a tax return, you owed $1,000. the general rule to avoid penalties is to pay that as a minimum tax with your this year's extension. Now, if you file, you don't pay estimated taxes, and then so you don't make it like estimated tax with your extension, and then you have to file late, and then you owe money, and there's penalties. There's failure to file penalty, so you get a penalty for filing late. There's a failure to pay penalty for not paying with this extension, and potentially if you owe more than $1,000, you have to make quarterly payments.
Why should somebody hire someone versus like doing it on their own with TurboTax? Or what are your thoughts on like people doing it themselves?
Yeah, so just some of the few things I just mentioned a few minutes ago, like those are some of the knowledge and questions you can ask your accountants if you have someone. But to be honest, I don't think everyone needs a CPA like myself or a tax professional. There's other tax professionals that are non-licensed, but once you start getting a little, having a little complicated tax situation, and some of the key examples are, say, you own a property, maybe you rent out a property, you have multiple streams of income than just a W-2. Especially people who freelance and self-employed, I strongly suggest those people to work with a professional like myself, because there's just way too many deductions a lot of people miss, and rules that they don't know about. Or if you just want somebody, just to like answer a question or just hold your hand, and even if it's a simple return, we do returns that are simple too, but it's a peace of mind you get with working with us later. If you get a notice and you don't understand it, you can send it to us. We'll be there, and we're not like, we're very personal with our clients. So if you want a personal relationship, so if you have future endeavors, future goals, and if you work with a TurboTax online, you're going to get a different person every year. You don't know who they are. They don't know your history. They don't know you at a personal level.
So there we have it. Taxes in a nutshell. Once again, if you have a topic that you're wanting more information on, reach out to me and I will do my best to find an expert who can help us.